Timmy, you there? I gotta find you because you're not in the scene. I have no idea what the hell's going on here. I told you that I was going to be on the road, and we needed to figure out how to do this silly thing on the road. Let me just see something here.
Take a
There
moment.
you are.
There we
There you
go.
are, brother.
Yep. Okay.
Hey,
Hey,
everybody.
it's been a busy week, though.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. I want to jump right into it because I don't know how long I'm going to have to have a little light while I'm outside. But hey, I appreciate you all joining Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit. Thanks for tuning in every single Wednesday. Our podcast is growing, and me and Timmy are getting worse instead of better. Well, hey, we'll
No,
try, Timmy.
yeah,
We'll
well,
try.
people ask me all the time, how do you prepare for a podcast with Morris? And I said, easy. I make sure I have a beer first.
Well, hey, I just want to get it right. And the hardest part of any podcast is having two dummies try to do it. And so, anyway, I've been live, right, for the last couple of weeks with the mobile app. And I never really explained to people why because I didn't think it really mattered. But everybody knows who the boss is, right? She's the love of my life.
Yeah,
And the
Mila.
the boss climbed up on the top of my desk and broke my $2,000 computer. So I'm going to try to get it fixed and see if I don't have to buy a new one because, I'm not making all that much money doing this podcast yet.
Yeah,
Making a
well, you
few
know what?
dollars, Timmy. I mean,
I
we're
know.
making a few dollars.
I know, but
But
I was telling everybody, if you're not blaming me, you're not blaming the boss. You're blaming your dog Finch.
I
Okay,
can't blame. It's got to be somebody. It can't just always
yeah,
be me, Timmy.
not you, right?
Hey, Timmy, let me jump right into something, right?
Sure.
So, we talked about the big, huge fight down on Maine
Yeah,
and Columbia and Ransom, wherever the hell you want to say it was, because it was that whole little U-shaped area, right? They start on Ransom Street, they go up through the alleyway, or however the hell
yeah,
they get over to the next street up, and next thing you know, it's a full blown battle. 7, 8 cars show up from other cities. It's a disaster. Not the
yeah,
first, but the second one, right?
yeah. You can go down to, I think it's Schuyler Street, the old
Yes,
zoo.
they go up
From
Skyler. Yeah,
that whole area there, it's a nest.
yeah, it's a nest. It's a hornet's nest. But
Yeah,
so we know that there were 7 people arrested. The city tried to play it down that it was just a couple girls fighting. You probably didn't realize there was a video of people swinging baseball bats and men beating up other men. But needless to say, just a couple days later, Timmy, I'm being told, and I'm going to stand corrected. And if anybody's watching the show, I certainly will stand corrected. But I was told that the fight at Burger King, which another 7 cop cars showed up 2 days later, may have been somebody getting stabbed. I don't know if that's true, but it was something that required 7 more cop cars from all around the Capital Region to show up just a few days later. So Sean Higgins, city council member, if I'm not mistaken, decides that he's going to have a public safety meeting. Now, I'll tell you my position is these meetings are worthless. I know he's a new council member, so he is trying to do something. But having a $500 meeting to solve a $5 problem is just ridiculous. And then all it is the mayor shows up, he sits there like a bump on a log, doesn't say nothing. He'll have the police department talk. People ramble on. They'll pack the place with their buddies so that the buddies rah them. And a few people who are really concerned actually show up. Ed Kenner had it live, and I give Ed a little credit there. He's like the Times Union now in the city of Cohoes. Hard to hear,
yeah. His
but he
face.
was there, and I heard. I actually joined in and shared a couple of my thoughts, and what I seen is exactly what I said in my post. You're going to have a meeting where a guy who doesn't give a shit, who thinks, how dare you even have the stones to show up and try to confront me? I'm the king of the city.
Yeah.
Sits there, doesn't say anything, and puts his police chief in the crosshairs.
Let me do two things on this while you hold your thought. Now, Higgins, he's the council, okay, public safety committee chair, but the mayor, he created a new position, of Commissioner of Public Safety. Ultimately, it's on him, and he sits there, okay, and lets everybody else run with the
Well,
ball.
who's there is none, right? So the
Right.
mayor is the public, in the charter, the mayor is the public safety commissioner if there's not one.
Absolutely, right,
Right.
absolutely. Not one appointed. He only created the position for 6 months, as you know, and then dumped it, okay?
Well,
But
that was his goal, to get rid
yeah,
of one of the greatest chiefs the city's ever had, in
yeah,
Heslin.
Heslin and a couple of cops, the Pusey brothers, and I
Yeah,
believe
whoever,
it was.
all the people that he didn't want around him, who could
Right. But he's ultimately
expose
is
him
the
for being
public,
an
right,
imbecile.
he is the public safety commissioner in this city right now. So
Yeah.
ultimate responsibility is on him. And he's passing the buck to who? Chief Walden.
Well, listen, so the chief is the guy who's running
Yeah,
the day-to-day operations. Let's
sure.
just be honest with it. And I'm not a big fan of that chief either, right? Um, you know, uh, he was a guy that got himself jammed up,
Yeah,
wasn't honest about it. Um, Probably would have lost his job in any other city. That's just my opinion.
yeah.
But here he got a fair and equitable um, punishment. Um, but the problem is that he's being told what to do.
Yes,
These
that's true.
chiefs don't just. The mayor of the city says, "This is what I want." The mayor of the city walks in and says, I've been a state trooper. I've been the big shot in the capital region. I'm the king of police. I know everything about policing."
Why
Well,
would
he
we,
doesn't know.
right? And why would we charge these people with disorderly conduct when there
Well,
were
that's
assaults going on?
That's my point. My point is, this guy doesn't know shit about Cohoes policing. He was a Cohoes cop for, I think, a year, and he slept in the car in the alleyway. And if you want to know how I know, I used to watch him. I was a fireman, and they all used to hide in certain spots.
Yeah,
And that's all he did when he worked in the city of Cohoes. We have great cops, and I'm not denying the cops any credit. They're due a lot of credit, but they all are employees, Timmy.
yeah, they are. Yeah.
And the city administration sets the plan in place to make Cohoes a better city. And all he did is took our policing strategies that got the city to become very close to becoming an all-America city once again, got Ransom Street booming, got millions of dollars investment on a street that hasn't seen it in 50 years, had 787 rebuilt when they told me I could never do that, had all of the streets cleaned up by our policing strategies. And because they were mine, I mean, he came right out and said it to Tommy Ross. They're all Sean's ideas. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
And so
so
787 doesn't get patrolled. Ransom Street is a train wreck. Congress, White, Main, all those streets are train wrecks.
got rid of the golf cart, got rid
Got
of
rid of the
the
golf cart,
right,
got a
and
motorcycle. Somebody broke
and
their leg.
yeah, and the motorcycle. Sean, I haven't seen it anywhere in 2 years. Have you?
Well, after you have somebody break their leg and probably make a huge, it's a huge issue when you
Yeah,
get hurt on the job. They probably said, we better get rid of this because, it's
because
not doing us
they
any
only had two people that could that were licensed to ride it, if I understand, and. So who's the one person he tries to get to learn how to ride it, to drive around on a Harley in the city? His kid.
Then he's off for 2 years injured, right?
Right. So this is the mentality of this guy. It has been my family first, and now look at the mess that we're in. Okay. Now we've got what? We've got eight enforcement agencies descending on Cohoes over a girl fight.
Well, that's what he said, but I think it was more
Yeah,
than a girl fight, right?
sure.
I mean, I know a guy got
Me-
arrested for fighting another guy because the guy hit his
Yeah.
girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
These are the type of things that once they fester, they're like weeds, and they don't cut the weeds in Cohoes. Why do you think they're going to stop the
It's not
crime,
going to
right?
go away, okay, because the problems are still there. And,
Right.
and I think that's probably, I think it was only an hour later they had another fight. But anyway,
Yeah. So let's jump to this public safety meeting.
yeah,
I watched it for about 15 minutes. And of course, you have the people there that Keeler says, come on and show up and support me. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Here's the thing: you can't bullshit a guy who's been in politics for 20 years. I was there. I know how it works, right?
Yeah.
When you have these kind of meetings, you're calling all your supporters and say, "Show up, man! Help me, support me,"
Hmm.
you know. And there was people, and here's the fucking problem, Timmy, that blows my mind. They're all been trained to say, "Oh, well, there's nothing you can do because it's the
Yeah.
state. They passed to raise the age and they passed the bail reform." Those things are two different and distinct things, right? Raise the age is really a problem because kids that are 16, 17 can't get in trouble. They really can't. They go to family
Not
court, which
anymore.
is
Right.
right,
Right.
which is a circus, right? Family
Hmm.
court is a
Yeah. They just
cesspool
let them out.
of
Yeah.
yeah, and so you know, but there's the bail reform is a whole nother thing, right? That's just really, you cause you commit a crime and they let you up. Most of these crimes have been petty crimes, except for when the guy stabbed the guy at Price Chopper, the guy got shot down on Congress Street or Main Street
Yeah.
with
Right.
a couple
Stabbing up at
stabbings.
Stewart's, stabbing now at Burger King, if that
Right,
happened. You
right.
know.
So the reality is, when you say there's nothing that can be done, what you're saying is that you're a fool and you don't know any other alternative to try to solve these problems. Maybe nothing can be done in the sense that if I have the cops arrest a kid, I can't make the judge keep the kid or put him in jail, right?
Hmm. That's
But
true.
can I be an advocate? Can I use my podium to stand up and scream and kick and yell about these laws that are causing all kinds of problems in our city? And can I just keep telling my cops to arrest them and arrest them and arrest them? And then can I go to the city code thing that I strengthened that allows them to go down to a home that isn't a nuisance, which means out of that home there continues to be crime and trouble and crime and trouble, and you can use that a nuisance to evict people, and you can pull their certificate of occupancies, so the judge can't even say, well, you can't evict them, because here's one of the problems: people try to evict tenants, and 9 months later they're still fighting to get rid of them because these liberal judges,
Yeah. Now,
right?
yeah, and I understand that there's a lot of problems down there at this 70 Delaware, okay? And even in there, I could hear the mayor saying that, the issue here is, they're not vetting tenants, okay?
Well, then the city should make sure they're. Timmy, let me just tell you the
Yeah.
first thing that I would do with Delaware Avenue, okay? Because I
Mhm.
helped build Delaware Avenue.
Yeah.
And when I helped build it, I will tell you exactly what it was. And I will tell you exactly what I said to the people that were building it: Catholic Charities, okay?
Yeah.
And Todd Curley and Prime Companies, who have resurrected our city. They are good people who invested hundreds of millions of dollars in an old dying city,
Yeah.
okay,
They did.
and helped us bring it back to life, where there's a lot of beautiful people living in beautiful apartments, and they're nothing other than great residents, okay.
Hmm.
But if there was a problem, I'd pick up the phone and say to Todd Curley, and I'd say to Catholic Charities, you need to come to my office and we need to fix this problem, because if we don't, that $3.7 million loan you have to pay, you'll be paying it out of your pocket because I'll close your building down. Okay? That's the difference between a true fighter for their community and somebody who's a dodo bird who doesn't do nothing. Timmy, I will tell you, let me give you this little synopsis. When I became mayor, there was a apartment complex built up behind Rulier Heights. Okay.
Rule your heights. Yeah, I know where that
Not
is.
Rulier Heights, Manor Avenue. It
Yeah,
was called
Lions something.
Lionheart.
Yeah, Lionheart. Yeah.
In the first 3 months that I was in office,
Yeah.
we did 340 calls to Lionheart.
Yes. Yeah.
So I called the people from Lionheart and I said, when you came to this community, you made a commitment to be a good steward, a good landlord, and bring in good people who are down and out. These are not people with a lot of money. These are people that need a helping hand, right? These
Yeah.
were built before I got here, but they were built for people who had not such low income that they should be living in housing, free housing, like in the Manor Avenue, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people who had low income jobs, people that were struggling working at Walmart. Moral of the story is, I called the guy up. I said, you and your board need to get on a call with me because we have some serious problems. And I got on the phone with the guy and I said to him, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but I'm going to sound like a jerk. Either you clean it up, fix it up, get rid of the people who are causing the problems, or I will use every tool that we have in the city of Cohoes and I will close you down until you understand that we're not going to accept this kind of behavior. And within a month, Timmy,
Yeah.
we did 3 calls, 4 calls a month up there.
Yeah.
And if you give these people an opportunity, they'll fix it. But part of the whole entire. Hang
Well,
on
you
a
got to have
second,
an
Timmy.
outreach. Yeah.
Hang on, the boss just came out to say hi to me, honey. I'm on my podcast, so I'll be with you in a little bit. Okay, love you.
See, she's screwing up everything. Even
She's
now,
always
she's
got.
even
Listen,
screwing
she
up the
loves her.
live podcast now.
She loves her papa. Papa
Yeah.
loves her. I'd shut the podcast down if she needed a hug.
Yeah.
But she was just trying to get me to open up her yogurt.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway,
you know,
yeah. So we were.
so
at
anyway, the
this-
bottom line is,
Yeah.
you can fix part of the policing strategies is not just a cop car.
Right.
We had a
So,
code. We had a code task force. I guarantee you, he disabandoned that whole thing. What we did with a code task force is that we would identify these problem houses, and we would make sure that they were following the code. And not every code is, oh, you have a leaky pipe.
Yeah.
How about some of it is part of the certificate of occupancy that says that you need to maintain a clean, safe, healthy, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And the city can always say, let's change some laws around. That's what
Right.
cities do. And it's an ebb
Enforce-
and flow, Tim.
Right. And you just enforce the ones we have as well.
Well, we put a lot of them in for absentee landlords. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, we were the first ones in the city. Landlords had to come to our before you could become a landlord in Cohoes. We put in a place they had to come and do a whole landlord school.
Yeah. As well as they had to have a maintenance guy within 15 minutes of the property too.
Well, it was 30. It was 15 miles.
Oh, 15 miles. Okay.
He had 50, but still, that's a pretty quick. You had to be here.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
had to live within 15 miles, and you had to be here within an hour.
Yeah. And yet
That was all
on
part of the
issue.
code that we
Yeah.
put in place.
Sure. I remember that. Yep.
And we did that because we needed to make sure that if we had a problem, because we were having problems, and you call and there's a plaque on the door, call this number, right? So you call that number, and guess what? There's nobody there. And so and they go, oh, we're coming from California. It's just, so we needed to make it so that it was, you needed to be available, and you needed to be available quickly, and you needed to fix these things as quick as possible. And so I would just encourage the city to put this sit down with the code enforcement, sit down with your police department. I know this dodo bird's going to say I'm not listening to Sean Morris, but Sean Morris is the one who brought in $80 million of development, isn't he?
Well,
He's the one who got the streets cleaned up.
Right. And the area they want to develop, what they got $10 million for, is where we're having all the problems.
Who the hell in their right mind is going to invest money in the city that's got 8 police departments from all over the capital region showing up every weekend?
Yeah, twice within the
3
last
times.
week. Yeah, 3 times.
Three times in a month and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was telling you, Timmy, I was told that the Bonaquisti brothers, who are great investors in the city, we went to them first to start our whole revitalization. I heard they offered $250,000 to buy the land, and the IDA shot them down because they want to wait because they think that they're not pressed to put anything there and they could get a better offer.
Yeah, and they
Better
want
offer my ass.
right? Powhatan to be a museum.
Maybe the gun guy
Right.
will come to Cohoes and open up a gun range or something there. But I can't see anybody wanting to live there or put $3 million into building housing there when right down the street every night of the week there's fights.
Yeah.
And I want Cohoes to prosper. I get
Right.
so pissed off watching it fail.
It was prospering. Okay.
Well, listen,
Right
you
down
know
the
what?
toilet.
People made their vote. I have no problem with that. This ain't about whether or not who got elected. The issue is, I want it to prosper. I live here for a short, more
Yeah.
year and a half, I guess, but I'm going to live here for a little while longer. But I wouldn't let my kids walk down on Ransom Street at night. I wouldn't let them go down to Main Street. I wouldn't let them go down any of those streets.
Yeah.
Would you?
No, not at
Is there
all.
anybody watching the show that would let their kids?
You know, I got a
But
sister-in-law that carries a foam baseball bat with her when she gets out of work at night at 11 o'clock when it's dark. Okay, because she's
Yeah.
afraid. She's afraid. Okay, afraid of dogs, afraid of people, and she sees her friends getting assaulted. Nearby. So yeah, I mean, there's a genuine fear that at any moment you can get attacked.
Timmy, dig up Google, go in there and find City of Cohoes. We passed a law because I had so many complaints where we were charging people $500 if you let your dog shit on the sidewalk or in the road or in the grass and didn't pick it up. And people have been texting me right and left saying there's dog shit everywhere, there's weeds everywhere. Now, did you tell me that Sean Higgins talked to Steve Hennessy and Hennessy said, "Oh, there's nothing they can do about the weeds"?
No, that wasn't me, okay? But I did report to Higgins, and I haven't followed up on it, about, that Erie Canal Memorial on Olmsted Street, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? Underneath that is some kind of old valve pumping system.
That's the old pump.
Right, and it's full of garbage. It's so bad that the people are feeding cats in there. Okay, they're leaving food around for cats in there. The reason why they're doing that is because the cats are going after the rats and mice
Yeah.
that are in there.
I was told.
I told him about that. I've been telling him about that for better than a year. I don't know. I did email Higgins. I don't know if he got a chance to look into it, but I can get down there and take a photo and find out in
So
a microsecond.
Randy Knifka just sent me a message and said that it was him that told me. Now that I think about it, it was him because we were having a conversation and I said to him, "Man, the weeds just drive me insane." Timmy, I used to go out the nights of Rock the Block and go over and pick weeds for 2 hours by myself if we couldn't get them all done.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand it. I think when you drive around a city and everything's covered in weeds, it just gives people a reason to come here and say, nobody gives a shit about this city. So bring all your drugs, bring all your crime, and bring all your problems. And no, if you drive down Ransom Street, we put in all these beautiful trees, and growing up the trees are the weeds in the beds because nobody even cuts the weeds. I went by today, there's garbage. Bottles, cigarette butts, cigarette wrappers, McDonald wrappers. I couldn't believe Ransom Street looked like a third world country, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It was sickening.
Yeah.
And Randy Knifka also went to. We're going to have him on next week, I think. I want to try to get him on because he did have some conversations about the IDA. And I think, Randy, if you're still watching, were you the one who told me that there was a $250,000 opportunity from the Bonaquisti brothers and the IDA that has done so much for the city in the last 5 years? Turned it down and said that they don't really need it. Their claim to fame is a bakery. And why I think the bakery is great, it belongs on Ransom Street or somewhere, not on a piece of property that's worth $20-30 million.
Yeah.
But they're all excited that a bakery is going down, and I'm excited too. I'm on a diet, so I ain't gonna eat any of the goods for a while. But the bottom line is, just because there's a bakery coming, now we'll have 3 bakeries when we had none, and I'm all for the bakery. If you're watching the show, I want the bakery. What I don't want is to put it on a piece of property that's one of the best pieces of property in the city for commercial use that's left. And you're going to
Well,
lose out on 3, 4, 500,000 in tax dollars, and you're going to get about $4,200 a year, and it's just a bad move. So
I
Randy
haven't
said
seen any
yes.
right, and I haven't seen any plans on that. Whether they're going to have a like a eat in at that bakery or dine in, I don't know. I haven't seen anything on it.
Either have I. And again, I know Randy Knifka. I had a conversation with him about something, and he told me about it. And so we'll have him on next week because I really want to hear about this whole IDA thinks they don't
Yeah.
need to do anything. Like the Bonaquisti brothers, you're not going to get an outside investor. You're going to get somebody who's invested with me, who's seen the potential, and will only hope that, if he builds some more, other people will come. But you're not going to get somebody from outside the city who opens up the newspaper, turns on the TV, and it looks like,
Yeah,
the Wild Wild West.
war zone down there. Yeah,
And I don't see no other development. I really
yeah,
don't. I mean, that Bai Brewery is moving off of Ransom Street.
yeah. Down to Saratoga. Yeah.
They're going down to Saratoga. What the hell else did I just see that? There's other people who are telling me there's a lot of people on the verge of just shutting the doors.
Well, you saw that with Sweet Happy Days. She just pulled up and one day just boom moved down to Waterville Heat. Okay,
Yeah.
it's because and she couldn't get any support from the city, and this was Brenda, and she said the problem was being right next to Canal Square. You can get a $10 haircut in there, dogs shitting all over the place, drugs being sold openly right there. And I
Yeah.
told you before, there's cameras in there. They're either fake or they don't work or whatever. But what's the purpose of having cameras there?
Well,
Okay,
what's the purpose if you don't
right.
arrest nobody and
Yeah.
you know?
And let me make a point too there that about license plate reader cams that we do have in the city. Okay, there's no cams. Okay, in the areas where we're having all the problems. Okay, I know they're on Manor Avenue, North Mohawk Street. They're up on Columbia Street, and then on St. Agnes Highway. But we don't have any of those license that we purchased. Okay, that I'm aware of. Okay, anywhere, I would say from anywhere downtown in the city, Burger King, Main Street, none of them, not even on the island going over the 112th Street Bridge. Nothing
Yeah.
going down Saratoga Street. So
I,
why we got these cameras here, and they're in the areas where we're not having trouble? Why don't they move them? Okay.
I think the purpose of plate readers is really to detect people when they're coming in and out of the city, and be as less intrusive as possible.
Yeah, but
We had
how does that make sense on Manor Avenue?
Well, because if somebody shoots you on Ransom Street, no matter where he goes to get out of the city, you're going to get his plate.
All you have to do is go over 112th Street Bridge.
No, they're down there.
Well, they're
I know
probably
that when
Troy has them on their side.
yeah, so they're there, and
Yeah,
agencies work with each other. Look,
yeah,
at I was going to put them in myself.
yeah.
We were also going to put in cameras.
I'm,
I believed wholeheartedly that you know these
they're
plate
not a
readers.
bad thing. I'm not saying
No,
they're
you're
a
not
bad thing.
snooping on people. You're just saying we
Yeah,
had murders. I had a time when somebody came into our city and shot at somebody on White Street.
yeah,
Tommy Ross was the head of the detectives, and I still say to this day the best detective in the city's ever had, and in the capital region. The guy he
yeah,
was a street guy who just knew how to find criminals,
yeah,
and he put together a great team, and they within 15 minutes they knew the car, they had the
yeah.
plate, and the guy was arrested.
Yeah, you get plate, you get cell phone data, okay? Because your cell phone is pinging a tower every
Yeah.
minute or so. So if you get plate reader camera, cell phone data like that, okay, there are ways to find these people that are doing all these crimes, okay? Yeah.
I just lost all my lighting on here. I'm probably better looking now. So here's another thing that I thought was really interesting that we started to talk about.
Yeah.
So I was told, and maybe you can confirm this, but the city had to spend upwards of over $50,000 for that leak at the at the
Fil-
filtration plant. Is that
yeah,
true? Is that
I haven't
something you
gotten, look at, I haven't gotten that number on that leak yet, okay? But I do know that when they went in there to put all the stone and everything around the interior of there, they came back and said, well, we need another $50,000 for that. So we're 600,000 over on that, $50,000 over where they didn't anticipate, they called it unanticipated. And this water leak, now, we can't get exact numbers, but Adam Biggs is saying it's really, really expensive. And he also said nothing was approved by the Board of Managers. It didn't go there, and it didn't go before the Common Council. So in order for it to get to the Common Council, it's got to reach 50,000, right? But to the Board of Managers can do 50, up to 50,000. So I
Well,
haven't heard the numbers, but I
yeah,
heard it's really, really expensive. I mean,
it's
you have
under
to
the
pay a diver.
it's under the procurement policy,
Yeah. I mean, what
and
would it cost to
something.
get a diver to go in there?
Well, some things, even in the procurement policy, have to be approved by um, the legislature because it's too much money.
Yeah.
Once again, Keeler's just running wild. But let me ask you this question because that's what baffled me when you said that to me. How does Adam Biggs not know if he's on the board of managers?
Yeah,
How
he's
come
on the.
nobody's asked questions?
We did ask
Now
him.
I'm
Right. We did have some people say, "How much did it cost?" Right. We can't get an answer, other than it
well.
was
There's got
very
to be an
expensive.
answer because
Yes.
I like Adam Biggs.
Yeah.
I'm a I lost you. I'm a fan of Adam Biggs, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think that he has the wherewithal, or maybe he just doesn't have the type of personality that it takes to be a leader who has to be forceful at times.
Or
I think
confrontation with the.
he's a
Yeah.
gentleman. He's
Yeah.
a true gentleman, and sometimes true gentlemen don't have the ability to be a prick when they have to be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
I agree.
to me, he's just too nice. Because if I was the president of the council, if I was the chairman of the
Yeah.
legislature, and Danny McCoy was my friend, believe you me, when something was going on that I thought was wrong, I'd be knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And here's how it works. If they're not going to tell me, I would simply say, Mr. Mayor, no problem. You don't want to tell me. Don't bother sending any legislation to me that you want passed
That's
because we'll
exactly
stick
how
it
you
right
do
up
it.
your ass.
That's exactly what I would have said myself. Okay,
Right,
I've
right.
always, and I've actually told Adam, you have the power of the purse. You have the power of the agenda. Say, you want this done? I'm tabling it.
Yeah.
I want
Now,
this implemented.
95% of the
Right?
stuff
Yeah,
is
it's
irrelevant.
boilerplate stuff.
Right,
But
but the stuff that
yeah,
sometimes you need, you
yeah.
know.
Well, some people say, "Oh, you don't want to hurt this. People hurt that." You're not hurting. It's these special things that they need to, that want to get done. They're the ones that you say, "Hey, I'm going to table this for now, but we're going to pass this." Okay?
Well, first of all, that's how government works. You can't just have, the one guy running roughshod. I
Yeah.
mean, Kanifka, you still watching? I had to bow down to Kanifka and put signs up on the island that said, "Don't run over the freaking turtles."
I know, and it
Right?
wasn't the
And
turtle.
I needed his vote, and he wanted these signs for wildlife and turtles, and he pushed me into the corner,
I
and
know.
so now I got to call up the guy and go, "All right, can you order 10? Don't run over the freaking turtle signs,
Yeah.
or because Knifka won't give me his vote."
It
So
said
it,
it
you
said
know,
yield for wildlife. It ended up being, but it was all about the turtles. Yeah.
it was Knifka. I said, "Just pick them up. You have turtle soup for Christ's sake." But
Yeah. Yeah.
but so let's go back to the meeting. Out of the 350 comments, but basically every one of them
Yeah.
said bullshit,
Yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah.
lie, bullshit. Keeler don't care. Nothing's going to be done. He's blaming the school. He's blaming the parents. Sometimes you got to recognize there are no parents. They're grandparents that are
They
80
can do
years
the-
old trying to raise kids because their parents decided they wanted to either be drug addicts or are in jail or overdosed or they're alcoholics or they have mental illness. There's a lot of reasons a lot of these young kids are on the streets. And it's sad. It's really sad to me.
Well, we don't have things for these kids. You remember when we were kids? You had the canteen. Okay, they.
Well, I'll give you my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Today, those things just turn into places for brawls. They
Yeah,
really do. Because
yeah,
we looked at having, I was gonna go up to Lansing's Park. You know how the old lockers are up there?
yeah, yeah.
The locker rooms that are just sitting there and the
They,
facades are falling down and the
yeah,
animals are going to,
right.
we were going to knock them down and build some recreational places for the older kids.
Yeah.
And we
They had
started,
a, right, and you had a skate park, but that was
yeah,
never
and I
used.
worked with Danny McCoy and we brought all this
Yeah.
recreation to the city. So there
Hmm.
are, to say there's no programs would be wrong. To say we have a lot of programs, I think we need mental health programs. I think we need drug counseling. But you know what we need? We need Joe Lutz, John Domel,
Yeah.
Robert Gully. That's
Those
what we
guys,
need.
those guys, yeah.
Mentors,
Guys like
people
that.
who,
Danny
that's right,
Heiko, you
right.
know?
Guys that loved you,
Yeah.
guys that cared about you,
Yeah.
guys that were like your surrogate father
Hmm.
or your
Yeah.
surrogate mother. People
Yeah.
you could sit down with. Joe Lutz used to call me and say, Shaw, that's what they called me. Shaw, listen, you missed 7 days of school last month.
Mhm.
You want me to take you to baseball practice? You got to go. People that made you feel like somebody
They,
cared about you.
yeah, that's true. Yes. You don't
And that's,
really see that other than in the volunteer programs like softball, Little League
yeah.
Baseball,
Well, that's
Girl
what's missing.
Scouts. That's when you have those organizations, that's where it's working. But outside of those organizations, what do we have?
Well, we don't have anything. I mean,
Mhm.
we have football, we have
Yeah,
karate, we have all these programs. And for the kids who have parents that say, "Come on, I'm going to bring you
yeah,
down to the programs. I'm going to
yeah,
buy you the karate suit. I'm going to get you the new sneakers."
yeah,
Most of these places end up being, good middle class families that are taking their kids to enjoy recreation that the city has. But there's not a lot to do for kids that have nothing.
Let me
And I
ask you
don't
a quick
listen.
question too. Yeah, while you're going now, remember we had Danny McCoy on and the
Yeah.
potential of the community center, right? There's going to be opportunities there for kids, but I don't recall if we got pinned down exactly what we're going to be able to use that all for.
Well, he wasn't sure either because I know that he told me he
Yeah,
was working with recreation,
yeah,
he was working with mental health, he was working with the unions to bring in trades. I
yeah.
mean, Danny's a smart guy, and he really does put together great programs. So,
Hmm.
there'll be a place to teach kids how to maybe, be carpenters and welders or how to get into the
Yeah.
trade unions and have good jobs. So,
Mm.
it's going to be a really awesome place, I think,
Once it
once the
gets going,
county
yeah.
gets it. And that's why I said it's shameful the city didn't do that
Hmm. Yeah,
because the city could have done the same thing. And I'm not knocking other communities, but when the county owns it, everybody gets to go.
yeah, that's true. I
Right. And
agree.
so the
Yep.
so if there's 10 spots for a program, 12 of them could be in line from Cohoes and 40 have already showed up from Albany.
Right, right.
So Cohoes doesn't own it, it doesn't control it, and now Cohoes kids in a building that should have provided all these services to them by their
Right.
taxpayers, Cohosiers,
Yeah.
lifelong Cohosiers, now they're going to have to share those services with, people from other communities. And
Yes.
I want other communities to be successful, but let them figure out how to get their own success and let Cohoes take care of Cohoes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep. I
I
see.
think that's going to,
I just see the same. It's sort of like what's going on at Lansing Pool. Cohoes are supposed to be in there first, and if we got room for others to be able to use the pool, you give them an armband. But I don't know that that's going to happen in Cohoes. It's we're just going to have to figure out how they're going to go about it.
all I know is that I want to see success for everybody in the city. I want Cohoes to have a relationship and a partnership with other cities. I think that
Yeah.
works best. My biggest problem is there's only going to be so many slots for so many things, and Cohoes kids will be watching their building be used by people from other communities while they're
Yeah,
sitting
Troy.
home,
Yeah.
right? And that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I
Troy,
think,
Lansingburg, and
yeah.
probably Waterford and whatever. They're all
Well,
going to be in this
it's going to be Albany County, so it'll be all of Albany County.
So right, okay. Well, what's to stop someone from Waterford coming over the bridge? They got to have an ID. They're going to ID
Well,
people.
I imagine Albany County would say I'm sure there's going to be some way that
Yeah.
Albany County says this is just for Albany County kids.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they will. Maybe they'll say, "Hey, we have openings, so we'll let kids from other, parts."
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they're going to work it. I'm
Yeah.
not, but it will be a great addition. McCoy's got his shit together when it comes
Yeah.
to that. I'm sure he's going to work with Sheriff Apple
Yeah.
to come up with some kind of, programs. I talked to Sheriff Apple today. He'll be on our show hopefully next week or during the week. We'll be taping a show and he'll be on that. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing him. In the meantime, Timmy, be safe. Stay off of Main Street because I'm afraid they may beat you up, and I need you for the show.
Yeah.
And everybody else, hey man, God bless, and it was good to see you. And talk to you Wednesday.
Okie doke. We'll see you next show.